What is going on, everyone? Happy Friday. Oh, what a morning. Sorry for the tardiness. We'll go a little extra today in regards to the live Q&A. I know I had it scheduled for 11 a.m. Eastern, and my laptop decided to do an update, which took forever and a day. So we are ready to rock and roll here and get this show on the road. Again, my name is Henry Kaminski from uniquedesignz.net, and we are going to be doing a live Q&A today. Everything revolving around branding, design, marketing, you name it. I'm here to take questions, comments, and really help you go in the right direction when it comes to building, your brand. So this is your opportunity to lay it all out. So if you have questions, comments, drop them in the comments below, and I'll start hammering them out, one by one. So I'll wait a few minutes until some people jump on, and we will get the show on the road. What's up, Eugene? Hope all is well with you. Can't wait to come down and visit with the baby. I haven't seen you in ages. Jennifer Hill just joined. Yo, what's up, Eugene? And I did happen to get a few questions via email. I sent an email out yesterday talking about the Q&A. I missed you 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I know. And it was funny because the photo shoot took pretty long, and you were probably at the office by the time I got done. But we had 15 other things to do, obviously. And we had to run, but next time we'll definitely come down and visit. I did get some questions over the email, and I'll address those shortly. But wanted to invite all of you guys in today. Fernando, Eugene, the baby's doing great. Good morning, Jennifer Hill. How are you? Come over here for a second. Fernando Serrano just joined. What's going on? So we're doing a live Q&A right now in regards to Raul Lopez. What's going on? So the live Q&A is all about, how can we make your brand better? How can we make your business better? What are some of the common struggles you guys are facing with social media, branding, design, marketing that I can help you with? Raul, where's everyone checking in from? I forget where everybody's from. Well, obviously, I know where Eugene's from, but Jennifer Hill, where are you from? Raul, where are you from? Nick Zerby. I know where Nick lives. What's going on, my dude? I have to give a big shout out to Nick Zerby. Nick Zerby was the one that actually helped me put together the software and the cameras that we're using for all of my live streams now. So big shout out to Nick for helping with all that tech support. And if you guys are looking for anybody that knows what they're doing when it comes to video and live stream and all of that good stuff, Nick Zerby's your man. Go check him out. Jennifer's from NYC. What's going on? Not too far from us. Very cool. So let me dive into Rockley, California. It's a little early for you. That's what's up. Early bird gets the worm. So one of the questions that I got over the email was, what is branding? Like, what exactly is branding? And it's an easy answer for me because I eat, sleep, breathe this stuff. But for some people, you know, they think branding is a logo, right? And that's part of it, but not quite all of it. And so the quick answer to what is branding is simply the desired perception that you want to be seen as. You know, so it's not what you think your business is, it's what your audience, your customer, your prospect, it's how they see your brand. And so that's very important to understand when you're going and creating, you know, your brand. And we're talking a lot about this week. We talked a lot about building a conscious brand, right? Building a brand intentionally, not just throwing what's against the wall and seeing what sticks. You know, I call those spaghetti brands. Spaghetti brands throw themselves up against the wall, strand by strand, and see what works. Whereas a more credible, more authoritative brand, they're very strategic about everything that they do. And that's key. So let me jump to Raul. Raul says, best practices for branding yourself as the brand. Great question. I work with a lot of personal brands, seems to be my expertise. Best practices is this, Raul. You know, and I mentioned this before in one of my videos, is you really got to dig into yourself and really just be authentic to yourself. Really understand yourself and not try to sugarcoat things, not try to be something that you're not, and really staying in your lane. You hear me say this a lot, and I coach my clients on this on a daily basis. It's staying in your lane, which means, you know, if you don't know the answer or you're not really good at something, admit it, acknowledge it, and get the help that you need. You know, like if I get a question today from one of you guys and I don't know the answer, I'm going to say I don't know the answer. So I'm not going to try to sugarcoat the answer to try to give the audience what it is that they want. You know, you have to stay true to you. So that's one way to brand yourself. And then the other thing is to have a purpose behind your brand. Like, why exactly are you doing what you're doing? I mean, there comes a time where people want to know exactly why it is you do. Like, what's your purpose? And getting out there and sharing that is really going to help people get to know you, Raul, because whether you know it or not, people are going to buy Raul Lopez Jr. first, and then they're going to buy your product or service. So the minute they become confident in Raul, they're going to become confident in your brand. So Eugene says that's part of the problem. Everybody wants to do many things. Exactly. You know, when you try to be the jack of all trades, what happens? You know, you never really become the master of any. And you really want to just dial in, you know, and I had a strategy call with my media coach yesterday, and he was talking about some ways to help me with camera angles and all of that stuff. And then we spent the next half hour, you know, looking at his brand. And one of the things that I told him to do was, because he has two different markets. And so everything that we're developing for him needs to be tweaked for each individual market. So, you know, you have to speak to each market individually, and dialing in is what's really going to make more of an impact with that message. So it's definitely knowing what you're really good at, Raul, and just tripling down on that. You know, that is one way to really build your personal brand and really be known, start to get to be known for something. Eugene says it's next to impossible to brand anything. Yeah, true. Purposeful and passionate. You're the only one that can be you. Good stuff. Yeah, absolutely, Raul. Great point. Great point. What else do we got? It's like, yeah, sure, I'm a gas station, but we can make sandwiches too and Seattle coffee. It's true. It's true. You know, what happens is when you try to do too much, you start to dilute yourself. And when you start to dilute yourself, then people get confused, you know, as to what it is you exactly do. And when you confuse people, you know what happens. No one buys. You know, they're stopped dead in their tracks. So understanding that is with boar's head ham. Yeah, exactly. Got to throw that in there too. Huge. So dialing in is a great way to understanding how to build a personal brand. You know, what are you really, really good at? Another question that I got yesterday was, and I talked a lot about this in my email today that's actually going to go out later. You know, there's no such thing as a cookie cutter brand. You know, and I always, the headline of today's email is no cookie cutter brands around here. And basically what I'm talking about is you can't just throw your business into throw your brand into a business in a box template and expect to get an outcome that's going to be, you know, profitable, because every single one of you guys are unique in your own way. And so how can you plug that into just a cookie cutter bland sort of template? And I see that because I see websites that all look the same, you know, that all say the same. And it's like, how do I differentiate from one brand to the next? You know, and I make an example of, you know, when you're going to get when you're looking for a painter, you know, to paint your home, you know, and you got 12 different painters in the town to choose from. How the hell do you know which one's going to be the right fit for you? Well, each one of those entrepreneurs have their own, or business owners have their own uniqueness to them. And it comes down to finding out what that uniqueness is, and if whether or not that connects with you as a person. And that's how you determine what painter to choose from. And so I go into, you know, I'll give you a quick example. One of my brand accelerator clients I'm working with, he has a tremendous amount of credibility. He has a tremendous list of assets for being in business for as long as he's been in business. But the one thing that he couldn't see, because he was just too close to it, was that he had a tremendous amount of authority but didn't know how to leverage it. You know, this guy's on the Forbes Coaches Council. This guy has a best-selling book. He is an adjunct professor at several local universities around where he lives. What else? He's got a master's degree in marketing. I mean, the guy's a rock star. And he, I don't know, was blinded by that or didn't realize how much credibility that stuff has. And he had this very bland website, and he just didn't come across, his branding materials just didn't come across with the amount of authority and credibility that this guy truly had. And so I eventually began to showcase this and kind of take all of it and give it back to him and say, dude, look at the amazing stuff that you've been doing. And I've worked with him for a while now, and I didn't realize that he was an adjunct professor at many universities. I didn't know that he had a master's degree in marketing. I didn't know these assets. So what I do when I'm creating brands for people is I take the tiny nuances of each individual entrepreneur and I amplify the hell out of those, which helps them create their uniqueness. And then we go from there. So Bill Conrad says, in Reno, just getting the painters to give you a bit. Is it a start? I'm not quite sure if that's a question. Just getting the painters to give you a bit of a start. So anyway, cookie cutter brands. There's no such thing. We can't operate that way. It's just not going to happen. You know, you have to find your uniqueness, you know, in your brands. Otherwise, you're just blending in with everybody else. Mike Cooper just joined. Mike Cooper is, we just became Facebook friends a couple days ago, and it's funny, he bumped into one of my podcasts as I was talking about, you know, removing the filters in your branding a little bit and really just stepping up and being confident about assertion and saying the things that need to be said, even though they're sometimes hard to say. And Mike Cooper listened to one of my podcasts and applied some of the things that I was telling the audience to do, and he was able to land a huge sale out of that. So Mike, big shout to you, man. That's awesome stuff. You know, I want to hear more of your successes too. So for those of you that aren't keen to the Brand Doctor podcast yet, go check that out on iTunes. I also have episodes on my YouTube channel, Unique Designz, and also on my website. If you just go to uniquedesignz.net, you will see the podcast nav button, and you could catch all the episodes there as well. But big shout out to Mike for making it happen. So again, we are spending the time. It was awesome. Got to stand up for what you believe in. Absolutely. Absolutely, Mike. Otherwise, what are we doing it for? Right? Why did we create our brand in the first place? You know, and it's funny because I had this conversation with my brother-in-law who was 19 years old, sophomore in college, and very, very creative soul. Works for a comic book company, and just very creative, very artistic, and very up on social media. You know, and it's good to have a 19-year-old keeping the pulse on things. You know, we try to do the best we can, you know, and stay on the cutting edge of things. But, you know, it's funny, getting a perspective from a 19-year-old is great. And he follows a brand called Young and Reckless. And it's actually Rob Dyrdek's cousin, Drama. He created this clothing brand, and he's doing really, really well. And he has this podcast, and he interviews just amazing entrepreneurs and business owners. And we were talking about how, you know, you just don't come out with a brand and expect it to move mountains and create this massive, massive following. I mean, you have to build your brand over time. That's what makes it powerful. That's what makes it unique. That's what makes it compound over and over and over again. And it's the little steps. It's the day-to-day. It's the showing up that really starts to form your brand. And being consistent with that is super important. Is super, super important. So great stuff here, guys. Great stuff here. So again, drop some questions below if you have any questions regarding design, branding, digital marketing, just business in general. If you're looking to get some feedback, you know, on some of the things that you might be struggling with inside of your brand. That's what I'm here to do today for you. So I'm just going to stay a little bit longer. I saw that we're just over the 11:30 mark. But I'm going to start doing these live Q&As, I think, every Friday. And I'll do them here on Facebook. I'll do them on my Instagram. I'll do them live on my Instagram feed. And then what I'll do is I could always download this video and share it to my YouTube channel and, you know, kind of get people to view it and see what some of the things people are interested in when it comes to building your brand. Because a lot of people are not very savvy to branding. They don't really know. They have, again, they think branding's a logo and nothing else, where it's much more than that, you know, and it's just a matter of tackling each part of branding individually and eventually over time creating something powerful. So awesome stuff. I really like some great engagement here. Brian Sherman just joined. What's up, Brian? Any tips for B2B startups? How to gain initial traction? So I will tell you, first and foremost, I am not super savvy on like startup growth or growth hacking. But I could definitely give you some personal experience when it came to starting my business, gaining initial traction. You know, you have to put out, you know, why you've created this startup in the first place, because what that is going to do is it's going to help people resonate with, you know, what it is that you do and what it is that you want to accomplish with your brand. So for example, there's a brand out there called Untuck It. It's a guy that started a clothing brand with shirts that come shorter, you know, especially for guys like me who, you know, aren't as tall as the average guy, right? And have issues with their shirts being too long, right? So the founder of Untuck It talked about how he just was so frustrated in trying to find shirts that would fit and not look like a dress on him. And he went into massive detail over and over and over again throughout consistent content. And eventually he was able to really get some real traction there because he wasn't alone when it came to his frustration. And that led to a lot of attention, which got his brand off the ground. So B2B startups, you know, again, Pavan, what can your brand do for other businesses right now? And if you don't have any clients right now, I suggest you get out there and offer your services pro bono and get some case studies under your belt. You know, that's what I worked for quite a few people for free when I first started Unique Designz, just to get the experience. And then once I got the experience, I was able to leverage that experience and get the testimonials, get the social proof. And then I have a foundation to stand on. So getting some traction there is putting your brand out there, letting people use what it is that you're doing up front without paying. And with that, Pavan, you'll be able to get a tremendous amount of data. And with that data, you'll be able to leverage it and use it as marketing. So I hope that helps. That second piece there is really, really key. Just get out there and make some case studies, and that will give you the traction you need. Mike Cooper, what are your thoughts on having third-party providers automating some of your social media posts rather than you doing it, all of it? So I have a very, it's a great question, Mike. I have a love-hate relationship with automation. And automation is good when it comes to, you know, if you're putting out a video training series, right? And it's a 4-part series and one video goes out each day. I think automating like that is fantastic, you know, because how the hell can you keep track of who signed up and who needs to get email 1 and 2, 3, 4? So email automation or automating in that sense is key, but automating your social media is a double-edged sword because it has to be truly authentic, right? So I don't have anybody automating my social media other than the fact of my project manager and personal assistant. They post a lot of my blog posts. They post my podcasts, my videos onto my social media platforms. However, all of that content's coming from me, right? So I create the content first and then give it to Pam, and then Pam distributes it, right? But to have a third party creating the content for you for social media and automating it, you better have established a really good relationship with that third party so that they can almost speak in your voice. And I find that to be extremely hard to do. I haven't found an agency that could do it and pull that off. So you creating the content up front and then passing it off to a third party to help you distribute, I'm a fan of. But, you know, if they're just putting out bland and cookie cutter content, it's not going to be effective, Mike. It's not going to be effective. And also, you know, those folks that are using Buffer and Hootsuite and all of these like automation tools, it's very tough to use those because social media platforms hate them. They want you to post. They want you to post natively on each of the platforms. And as you'll see me do, you know, I post on Instagram through Instagram. I post on Facebook through Facebook. I don't use those tools. Scott Fairlane, what's going on, my man? I want to give a huge shout out to Scott. I've watched Scott. He is a personal trainer and has a phenomenal gym locally here in New Jersey. And, oh, you're welcome, Mike. Great gym. And, man, watching you grow, Scott, has been just inspiring. Watching where you started, and you have a tremendous backstory, my friend, a tremendous backstory, which I don't think you're leveraging quite as much as you should. But not to call you out there, my man, but for sure, you have a tremendous backstory, so inspiring, and to watch your gym grow has just been very, very motivational for me. It has, because here's a guy that just puts himself out there, doesn't give a damn, and is truly empathetic to his I almost called them patients, but clients. And he really knows how to motivate, and especially in the fitness industry. I think, you know, getting somebody to take action and really help them feel good about themselves is an amazing thing to be able to do. And Scott does this really, really well. So Scott, big shout out to you, my man. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep rescuing those dogs. Because, man, we all know that we need more help on that front. But yeah, Scott, you're welcome, my man. It's a pleasure. When I see good people doing good things, I'm all in. You know, I'm all in. So, salute to you too, my friend. So Jerry Camarada just joined. What's up, Jerry? What's going on, my man? I'm actually going to stay just a couple minutes longer, and then I need to jump on a quick call with a buddy, and then I got a 12 o'clock. But this was very, very good. I mean, great questions. Phenomenal questions from the audience today. And, you know, these Q&As are really cool because from a standpoint of getting a pulse on your audience, knowing what and why they're asking these questions, right? Understanding where they're struggling, where they're tripped up is key. Because now, I can do a podcast about, social media posts being automated versus, doing it on your own and how to go about that, right? Like I just did with Mike, Raul Lopez talking about, what are some best practices of developing a personal brand? Great pieces of content here that I could elaborate on in more detail in future content. And so, pay attention to why I'm doing certain things on social media, because it's if you apply if you apply what I'm doing, you will definitely be able to get the same traction that I'm getting. But you got to do it. That's the bottom line. You got to do it. So I think I'm going to stop here, guys. So I just want to give a huge shout out to everybody that joined this week's Q&A session. I'm going to start doing these on a more routine basis. I think Friday's a great day to kind of wrap up the week with some great questions and great interaction with the audience. So next Friday, I will do another Q&A. This time I will be on time, and my laptop won't be doing major updates. That leaves me 17 minutes late. So big apologies there, but I'm glad that I was able to interact with you guys today and really just flow. I love freestyling like this, and happy to just be part of this community. Happy to, and I'm so grateful to have your guys' attention every day, and can't thank you enough. So have an awesome day, guys. Enjoy the weekend. It's supposed to be nice around here in New Jersey. And just keep rocking, man. Building your brand is a process. It's a journey. Enjoy it. Don't make it complicated. Enjoy the process. I talked about that yesterday. And just, love what you do. Stay in your lane. And people will recognize that. People will appreciate that. And people will connect with you. So have an awesome day, and I'll catch you next week. Take care.